Oh, we did it.
We're live.
Hello.
Next time we go live, can we all pop out of a curtain? Just 3 individual curtains.
We got to get curtains.
I'm making
but yeah,
requests already.
outside of that,
top of the hour, I'm making requests.
Yeah.
Wow, this is like, I feel like this is now 4 months ago.
Yeah.
When we were doing this. I'm glad to see all your faces.
Yes.
I'm glad to see your face.
Not spoken at all in the past month. Keen Company only speaks to each other while live on air.
That's how we get all our best work done.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The way it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to Keen After Hours.
Woo woo!
I don't know about you guys, but I have my stiff cocktail of seltzer.
Ooh,
ready.
Wow.
Mine's a water and whiskey. Hold the whiskey.
And I have nothing.
Great.
I did not come prepared.
Well, this is exciting. I'm so happy to be like it. First of all, it really feels like fall today. It feels like it has school has started.
Mm-hmm.
Keen is back on the air with new programming. We've got a whole season ahead of us.
Mm-hmm.
There was an e-blast that went out today that I got a lot of responses from. So Ashley, thank you.
Oh, good.
I love it.
I heard from one of our donors and supporters who said their last theatrical outing before the pandemic was Arsenic and Old Lace.
Oh, wow. Victory.
And how they sort of fondly remember that as being a really good way to sort of sail out of theater and into this crazy time, having that memory.
Well, good. That was
better to fondly remember it than to think of it as the thing that caused the pandemic. So
yes,
good
for them.
Good.
The last movie I saw was Cats. So I'm ready to go back to any auditorium.
That's actually always the last movie I see. I watch it every night. Just to keep my numbers even. Yeah.
Good.
Well, should we invite our first guest on?
Yes.
I think we absolutely should. Our guest for this evening was in Keen's production of Tick, Tick, Boom in 2016, right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe so. Let's take a quick look at their legendary performance before we meet them. Let's do it. In a moment.
Oh, I'm excited.
Here it comes.
It's
very exciting.
I could wait up to 60, 90 seconds just to see this. I'm so excited.
I think so.
One more do you want? Is this real life? Is this real life? Is this real life? Is this real
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome George Salazar.
Guys, I never want to wear a suit like that ever again. What in the F was up with this show? I was just like,
yeah, very talking heads, right?
yeah, I felt a little David Byrne, which is
Yeah.
cool, but
Mhm.
he pulls that off in a way that I cannot. I have my water.
Oh, so you're saying you don't want to do any more production set in 1990? You just that's in your writer. I've heard.
Yeah, if I do have to do something in the 90s, let it be known that I should be in a t-shirt and jeans.
Okay,
Okay.
That's fair.
We'll mark that down. We'll mark that down.
Yeah.
Well,
Hi, you guys.
hi, George. Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome to Keen After Hours.
It's so good to be here.
It's so good to see your face. It's so good to see your face. We have missed you. We haven't seen you in a year and a half, I think.
Yeah. I
Oh.
miss you guys.
So you're in LA right now?
I'm in LA.
Mm-hmm.
I moved out here a week after Be More Chill closed, which was a really crazy thing to do. But I did it. And it's been a really lovely year. Every day I go out and I see my friends and, we go to clubs and bars.
Sure. Right.
Of course. Restaurants?
We make theater here. Sold out audiences. It's really, it's awful that I moved out to a new town and then started work immediately. And then was so like laser focused on work that I was like, I'll make friends later.
Sure.
And then I never got to really, I mean, I have friends here. I'm not that pathetic.
We're not worried about you.
Yeah, but I didn't. I mean, there was no. Who knew this was going to happen? So it was like 6 months of like being here and working and trying to make friends, and then like that, everything just stopped and halted. Which we're doing our best. Every day is a new day. Playing it by ear, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's kind of like Keen Company's mission. Just doing our best. That's all we can do.
Be the best Keen that you can be.
Absolutely. So at the beginning of these little interviews, I like to take a moment to introduce our guest to our audience. And I do this in the same way that I introduce every actor at the beginning of every first rehearsal. So I'm just going to take one quick moment to talk a little bit about the genius that is George Salazar. So we were auditioning for the role of Michael in Tick, Tick, Boom. And George walked into the room, and every single person in the room, except me, was like, "Oh, George! Oh my God, George! I'm so good to see you, George!" And I was like, "Oh my God, I don't know anyone. I don't know anyone. I don't know who this is." So you were introduced, and then you were like, "So should I sing?" And we were like, "Yeah." And so you sang this song that I'd never heard of, but I just really liked. And everyone else seemed to know it really well. But again, I was in the dark. And it was Michael in the Bathroom from Be More Chill. And
a little show called Be More Chill.
Just a little show. Then we started reading sides. And this is what I fucking love. Ooh, whoa.
Whoa.
Kids watching, Johnny.
What I love about auditions is there's always an actor who comes in and tells you what the role is, like teaches you something about the role. And I will never forget that you came in, sort of a bunch of people had come before you, and everyone was playing the role as really kind of sort of stuck up and a little sort of like, I'm rich and you came in and you were this ball of energy and comedy and fun, and also sort of like, you played more the sort of like a little bit of the lost part of Michael, because he was trying to sort of figure out this new world. And it was like instantly clear to me that like, okay, here's the actor. Like it's not even at all even a question anymore. So of course you were cast and you were brilliant. And I will say one of the things I remember most about that rehearsal process is you and Nick Blaemeyer, who played Jonathan, would joke so hard, like you were kids at camp. And I so wanted to join in, but I was like, oh, I think I have to, be professional here. Or as professional as anyways,
you handled that energy between Nick and I so well, because you let us have our fun, and then you were like, okay, but like we have to do it. We open in like 3 weeks. We need to let's get this going. But I mean,
each other, right?
What?
You and Nick had known each other. You'd been in shows together.
Yeah. I made my Broadway debut in Godspell with Nick, and he like very quickly, he and Telly Leung became like my older brothers, and Nick was like amazing in the sense that like he was like, when all my friends make their Broadway debuts, they let it get to their heads and they become assholes. When we're not going to let that happen to you. And so he always kept me grounded and in check. And we just, we just had I really felt like I had a brother. Nick is the brother I never had. And so then getting the opportunity to read with him in that room was kind of surreal and really exciting. And also, those are very nice things you said, Johnny, but I think that I felt a real comfort in that room to play up the bond between the two, right? Because Johnny and Tick Tick Boom would never have been lifelong best friends with someone who was a stuck-up rich asshole. Like that never would have happened, right? And having Nick in the room with me and reading opposite him, it just felt like it was actually one of the easier auditions I've ever had to go on, because our friendship just got to kind of like shine through the text in a really like, in one of those ways where it's like, you hope and dream that you get to make something with someone who you already feel comfortable with. There's already a chemistry there. You don't have to like go get dinners after rehearsals to try to like create that. It's already there. And so yeah, I mean, he's the best. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Favorite scene partner of all time.
You guys doing that one song in the new apartment, and I can't remember what that song is right this second.
Will You Light My Candle?
That one. What song was that? You're introducing him to your home.
No more.
Yeah.
No more. That was like the easiest song to stage, because you guys were just had so much fun from the very beginning. It was so clear that you guys just had a relationship at the outset, and wow, it just showed on stage. So beautiful.
Well, here's what I'll say about Keen specifically, and my experience in Tick Tick Boom is that, like, having done 2 Broadway shows and having done like a slew of off-Broadway shows, like the real fun and the real reward and the real satisfaction comes from, for me, working off Broadway with companies like Keen. I felt like you guys really supported us with this incredible safety net to make really bizarre, bold choices that sometimes worked and most of the time failed. And, we got to make those risks and take those leaps in a way that, like, in the world of Broadway and in commercial theater, it's just like, you can't do that. And so, like, Tick Tick Boom will forever be a career highlight. Working with you guys was such a career highlight and a life highlight too, because like so much happened during that run. Like similarly to the original Tick Tick Boom happening in the middle of 9/11, our show was happening around 11/9, and it was the day after Trump was elected. And so, like, whenever I think about our show, I think about our show in 2 phases. The first phase that was like, we're doing Tick Tick Boom, and the second phase of looking into the audience and seeing people who just like really needed to be there for this experience, this moment. So, I mean, it will forever be right up there as like an immense honor and a privilege to have gotten to tell that story with those people, with you guys in that theater.
Yeah, it was such a wonderful experience, and it changed Keen. We've never done such a big show ever, and it was like so beautiful to do it with just amazing, kind souls. Because theater can be crazy, but what a joy! What a joy! So okay, I got to ask you about Godspell. So first Broadway show, and like, how long had you been? Tell us a little bit about like what led up to that. Had you been in New York for a while, or school?
I graduated college in 2008 and then moved to New York immediately after that. And And then in 2010, I booked the Non-Equity Spring Awakening tour.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
And I came back from that and immediately auditioned for Godspell. And it was one of those like abusive relationship situations where they just kept changing their mind. So they'd be like, I'd get my hopes up and I'd get a call back and then they'd be like, sorry, it's not going any further. Nothing he did. It's just, he was great. It's just not going any further. And then I'd like, emotionally binge eat for like 3 days, and then the phone would ring and they'd be like, they want to see you again and they want you to do the same shit that you already did. And I was like, why do I have to do this again? Can they just film it? And then like, why do I have to keep coming back? And it was that back and forth for over the course of 6 auditions. Wow. Where by the time I got it, I was just like, are you sure? Are they sure? Because I'm about to call my mom.
Yeah.
Make it like it's gonna set it in stone if I call my mom. And so I had been in New York for 3 years. I was waiting tables at Bubba Gump Shrimp Company in Times Square.
Oh, starstruck.
Yeah. Allergic to shrimp.
No.
That's how I found out. At orientation, they're like, and here's shrimp 11 ways. We really want you to, really understand the flavor profiles of each of these dishes so that when the customers come, you really know how to sell it. And it was just like, meanwhile, I'm eating like baby shrimp just doused in garlic and like cracked red pepper. Like there's no nuanced flavor profile here, folks. It's shrimp and butter.
Different sizes.
Yeah. And so I was like, back in the day, I was like, a really big boy, and they were giving me a free meal. So I went nuts. I was just like, yeah, shrimp. And then I got home, was like, I'm feeling really sleepy. I fell asleep, and when I woke up, I was covered in hives. I looked like a Dick Tracy villain. Like they would call me like, old Bumpy McGee. Yeah, that guy's the worst. Very dangerous. That's how I felt.
My favorite part of the story is that you went to work the next day and was like, I can still do this.
Yeah, I went back the next day and I was like, oh, cool, they have a veggie burger.
Oh, good.
I'll just do that.
Good.
Bubba Gump Shrimp. I've got to say, I've never been.
Good. Keep it that way.
Ashley, Billy, have you been?
Hell yeah.
I'm allergic to seafood, so George and I are going to have the veggie burger.
Veggie burger.
Bubba Gump is where Long Island elementary schools who go on their, Manhattan field trips go for dinner. All right. So
got it.
As one of those formerly, I have been. Oh, and those school groups were the worst.
I can imagine.
Because the chaperones, they'd been watching these kids trying to not get anyone hit by a cab. Like they've been trying to navigate them through the city. And by the time they get there, they're all ordering beers and sugary cocktails. Sure. So the kids were just running around like crazy. And you're like, can you just sit down?
Yeah, you're like, take this nonsense to Mars 2112. Come on.
Oh, R.I.P. I liked that restaurant.
I liked it too. They had rides. Oh, come on.
What is this restaurant? I don't know about this restaurant.
Mars 2112. It was on where
it was 50th, right across from the Winter Garden.
On 50th.
Mm-hmm.
It was a space-themed restaurant. It was like if Rainforest Cafe lived in a trailer park on Mars.
And it worked. Somehow it worked.
Somehow it worked for a limited time.
Well, it's no longer with us. Rest in power.
Mm-hmm. But they would when you got in, they'd be like, right this way, Earthlings. It was like some like and
then you go on a ride.
Disgruntled actor being like, right this way, Earthlings. And they would seat you in a room that had a really cutting edge 1989 green screen special effects, computer generated graphic of you're leaving Earth, you're going to Mars.
The floor shakes a little bit.
It didn't shake.
Maybe I thought it shook.
It wanted to be a flight simulator, but it wasn't.
No.
You just sat there and watched a thing. And then they open the door, and then someone greets you, and it's like blah 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 blah. Earthlings.
And they would give you the worst chicken nuggets you've ever had in your life.
Oh, no.
And it was worth it.
Would you say that was like a dream job for actors, or the exact opposite?
The bleep bloop guy?
Yeah.
I would say it was about as much of a dream as like the Stardust Diner might be. You know.
I think the dream job for actors is an acting gig.
Yeah.
If I had to guess.
I should have said a dream day job.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that's I don't think being in a restaurant pre-COVID or during COVID is anyone's dream day job.
Oof, oof. So, okay. So you did Godspell, and then was your next Broadway show Be More Chill, or did you do another one? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think I did Godspell, and then Broadway was like,
No, you know what? Broadway needed to catch up to you.
Yeah, Broadway.
Off Broadway was like, come here. Hi. And I returned the sentiment, and still do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I'm surprised. I didn't remember that you had sung Michael in the Bathroom at the Tick Tick Boom audition, which means you were already sort of on that journey. Where were you in the Be More Chill process when Tick Tick Boom?
A year had passed since we had done the the Two River, New Jersey production.
Mm-hmm.
And who reviewed that one? Isherwood.
Mm-hmm.
Isherwood killed that show.
Oh yes.
Yes.
And so it was done. It was over with. It wasn't even like it had not even started to be like streamed,
right?
It was dead in the water. So no one knew. I mean, no one knew that song unless you were a friend of Joy Conis's or saw the show New Jersey. No one knew the song at that point. So, and I felt like it was a perfect song to sing because it was this like anxiety song sung by someone named Michael.
Yeah.
I felt like it was like a kind of a, no-brainer for me to sing that one at that audition.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started listening to the album over and over and over again at that point.
And then the show got popular because you discovered it.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
That was crazy. So Tick Tick Boom happened, and was it the next spring was Dear Evan Hansen, and that's when is that right?
I'm not Dear Evan Hansen.
I
believe that's what happened. I think in 2016 when we were doing Tick Tick Boom, they were running off Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
At Second Stage. And then after Tick Tick Boom is when I did The Lightning Thief.
Yes.
At the hotel. And it was around that time that Be More Chill was starting to like explode on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So exciting. So exciting.
Crazy.
What a crazy story. What an amazing, amazing story. May there be more of them.
Mm-hmm.
May there be more. May there be something like that for Keen. I think that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's record that Tick Tick Boom album.
Okay.
Oh my God. Still, come on. I wonder if we can if we can hack into the film when it's on Netflix and just
play ours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Billy, do you know people?
Yeah, I'll make some calls.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Slide right in.
Mm-hmm.
So am I allowed to ask you, I have one important question to ask you about Be More Chill.
Yeah.
One of the things I will fondly remember, and hopefully this isn't too sad to bring up, is the wigs and the wigs that you wore. Yeah. Which really, I mean, I still will never forget. Ashley and I saw it together.
Yep.
And when you came out in the shopping scene with that amazing, I mean, it was just everything. Your wigs were amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I Dave Hova was our amazing wig designer who passed away during our Broadway run. But he was like a dear friend. We had worked on The Lightning Thief together, and then again would Be More Chill. And he's the kind of wig designer that talks to. I mean, my favorite designers are always the costume and wig designers, but they really become my favorites when they like sit down with the actors and like try to plot something with us, right? Instead of being like, here, put this on. And so, I mean, I remember all my wig fittings with Dave and like, trying different wigs on and me being like, I just feel like she's more of like a brunette. And truly like having, he would have like rolling luggage full of wigs just to try on me. And he would let me be a part of the decision-making process. I mean, ultimately the director has the last word, and Stephen Brackett did put me in a wig that I did not want. And I think it's because I didn't want it. The mall character was back in New Jersey. Stephen Brackett was like, so we're thinking about having you not be Michael in the mall and having you be like a sugar daddy. And I was like, yes, 100%. And so Gerard Canonico and I created a whole like really detailed backstory that involved like financial domination and weird stuff like that. And so Carl was this man with tons of money who would just go to the mall and like pick a boy to like spoil for the day. And so and to
be clear, for those who don't know the show, this is like background characters that George just was happening to
has nothing to do with the show.
Sight gag only, background of the scene.
Has nothing to do with the show. You don't see this man again. You don't even think about him. He has no spoken lines. He's literally behind a clothing rack with like a lot of like work done in his face. That was like one of my favorite, and I used one of my tiny characters in Tick Tick Boom in the Sunday sequence. The guy who like was ordering the Nikoi salad. He found his way to Be More Chill. But yeah, I love those wigs, and I'm glad that Carl, I named him Carl. I'm glad that he leapt off the page onto the stage and then left off the stage into your hearts.
Carl really has a special place here. Carl took over that scene, as far as I remember. I don't remember.
Yeah, that was a problem. There were some times where Will Rowland got really upset with me because I was like pulling focus, and I had no response other than I'm sorry. You're right. I'm sorry.
It was just amazing.
You put on a glittery suit and a wig like that and like glittery big sunglasses. You do that and try not to pull focus. Like, come on.
Yeah.
What that whole production, the costumes were insane. I mean, Bobby Tilley, unbelievable.
I love him.
Was there anything that surprised you, let's say, from sort of New Jersey to off-Broadway to Broadway? Like, is there something that continued to surprise you?
Yeah, the response, like the fans. When we did Be More Chill in New Jersey, it's a regional theater in Red Bank, New Jersey. So the subscriber like demographic was, older white people in that live on the water, and there was like a handful of Jersey youth who would come back and see the show over and over again, but that was like 5 or 6 people, and like no real stage door at that theater, so it was like 5 or 6 people, and then the show got popular on the internet, and all of our social accounts were like, the follower number was just building and building, and that never really feels real because for all I knew, like my mom just bought like Russian bots for me.
Yeah, sure.
As like some like get rich quick scheme. And so then when we transferred to the Signature and had our off-Broadway run, that first performance when like we entered and like each of us got entrance applause like we were Patti LuPone was surprising to me. And then the continuation of that over and over again up until our closing performance, like finishing Michael in the Bathroom, and like I just watched everyone, because the lights were dimmed on stage for me so I could actually see the audience, and I just watched everyone stand up. And like I just watched the tears of the theater stand up, and it was like I have like a bootleg video shot by my voice teacher Amanda Flynn of that moment. I'll send it to you guys. But I felt like I blacked out on stage, and I just immediately like wept. And so the response was really like the most surprising thing, continuously and consistently through the 4-year process of that show. It always blew my mind.
Amazing. I'll say it again, just an amazing story. And I just love to see how that took off in such a different way.
Yeah, me too. It's cool. It's cool when things get shaken up a little bit in that way, you know?
Yes, it is.
To show that like, there isn't one path to Broadway, and sometimes with technology changing and shaping our lives, both in positive ways and very negative ways, that there's a new kind of way that was almost paved by Be More Chill. And so I'm excited to see other shows kind of live up to that and take the same journey. We know it's possible now,
Yep. It's different, but it does remind me also, just talking about this, of A Strange Loop, and hopefully that is going to make it to Broadway. And never would have. I think 10 years ago, you never would have expected that. Which is
no. I mean, I think that there was like what I'm most grateful for in this year is the pause that we've all had to really look at our specific roles in society, and to acknowledge things that we've done and said that were wrong, learn from those experiences, continue to grow. I mean, like never has there been such a movement like the Black Lives Matter movement, where, I mean, old white grandmothers were like, hanging BLM signage in front of their homes. I mean, it's like that. COVID is awful, and it's paralyzed the theater community in a way that is really scary. But I think the thing that I look at, the silver lining of it all, is that we can have conversations now that I don't think we could have had before. The perfect example would be, like, I tweeted about my experience with watching the Tonys last year, and being told that there was no time for a performance, but then turning the TV on and watching a parody of the full song with a single color of person making an appearance in that, and how that made me feel. And I had kept that inside because I never wanted to share that with anyone, because I didn't want anyone to just think that I was being ultra sensitive or angry, or the fact that people were listening and practicing real empathy. I found myself talking about that on a daily basis. I was on calls addressing racial injustice at my alma mater, University of Florida. I was on call with current students and alumni, and in every conversation that came up, and it wasn't me who was bringing it up. It was people who I'd never met before who were bringing this up. And it was painful to keep talking about. Yeah. And so my own like therapy was to share that and get that off my chest. And that wouldn't have happened if people weren't given the opportunity to just stop and like listen, So certainly a silver lining through all of this, I think, is the active listening and hopefully the commitment to change at these higher levels of our industry and other industries, that aren't theater related.
I completely agree. It's sort of like it's allowed us to sit and think for a minute about what has come and how we can make things better going forward.
Yeah.
Because it just gets so crazy with everything happening that in a weird way, this has been a teeny bit, I'm never going to say that we wanted this COVID to happen at all, but it has given us a chance to reflect in a different way. And I think that's, I don't know, that's kind of I remember reading your tweet about that and sort of seeing the incredible response. And you're right, the empathy to that moment.
Certainly there were people who were like, oh, if you have such a problem with it, well, then you should produce your own award show. It's right. Like, okay, all right, 16-year-old white kid, sure, yeah. But no, I mean, we still don't have like distractions.
Yeah.
And on a personal level, like I had really hard conversations with my family. There was an All Lives Matter post that a cousin's husband put up. That was like, I love all people, and we got into it, and it was kind of heated, and I got a lot of like hate from people who shared his belief. But, it was a huge learning lesson for me in how to address these things and how to, rather than push people away, bring them closer and explain and with a cool and calm head, like, no, this is not, we're not saying that Black people matter more than you. Mm-hmm. We're saying that Black people matter, period. Mm-hmm. And with my own parents, there's, look, I grew up in a mixed race household. Racism exists across all backgrounds and races and colors. And my parents are really good people who've made mistakes in the past and have said things. And, having conversations with my parents where I said, you understand why that was wrong, right? And them saying, yes. And, my mother like crying on the phone with me, having these conversations with people who are in their 60s and watching them learn and grow in their 60s gives me hope that change is possible for everyone. Mm-hmm. You can teach an old dog new tricks. Mm-hmm. They just have to be willing to listen. And so we're in some really scary times right now. The world really literally seems to be on fire. But my hope is that, with a calm head, we can explain things to certain people and try to help them to understand what is happening outside of their bubble.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the incredible things about theater, which is typically about people gathering in one room together, now when we can go virtual, we can, gather so many more people into one virtual room together. Our reach is so much farther extended, which is exciting as a company. Obviously, we love the intimacy of all being in the same room together, but it's exciting to have a wider reach and to be able to like talk to you who are not anywhere near our little apartments. But
of course, the accessibility of this moment is something that I think theater has to, we have to try to find a way to like catch up to that.
Yeah.
Keen is great. Like you guys made tickets affordable and available. I can't say the same about the commercial Broadway establishment, but we have to find a way, and that's what I hope is happening right now in like boardroom Zooms. Mm-hmm. I hope that there are like real conversations about like real structural change, because when I was finished wrapping up Be More Chill and coming out here to do Little Shop at the Pasadena Playhouse, I was so taken aback by how many young people and older people were coming to see Little Shop that looked like me. And they greeted me at the stage door and they said, it's just so, I'm not Filipino or I'm not Ecuadorian, I'm this or that, but seeing you on stage was so empowering for me. And similarly, hearing young trans people share that message with MJ Rodriguez, I realized that I didn't have those experiences with Be More Chill, because not everyone, myself included growing up, not everyone can afford airfare to New York City, hotel accommodations, Broadway show tickets for every member of the family. That's just not a real thing for most American families. And so we, you know, a huge reason for my decision to move to LA and stay here was that everyone has a Netflix password.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you can sit in your laundromat and watch TV there. Like there is more of a reach, and there is more of an accessibility. And I learned a lot about myself and the kind of art that I want to be making through Tick Tick Boom, through The Lightning Thief, through Be More Chill, through Little Shop. And it was in meeting young people who have gone their whole lives without seeing anyone that looks like them anywhere. And so, like, not even realizing, I have a good singing voice. I like acting. Maybe I could do this for a living. Or I've always loved watching musicals. I'd love to be a director. You know, we've always said like representation matters so much, but it really does. When you are meeting like a mini me version of yourself who's looking at you and just like, I would cry a lot at those stages because it's a really moving experience to know that when I was that age, that this didn't exist, you know? So
how cool was it then to be on a show like Superstore, where like a network reach is just huger than anything else?
Yeah, it's pretty great. And with that show especially, because it is such an inclusive and diverse cast. And I don't mean just like color of people's skin. I mean body sizes. I mean, there's someone that like anyone can watch that show and go, oh, I relate to that character. In such a beautiful way, you know, and it's hilarious. So yeah, I mean, I just feel really, really fortunate for the type of things that I've gotten to work on. And honestly, it was like Tick Tick Boom with Keen was kind of the pivot, the turning point for me in my like artistic journey. That's when things started to change for me. So, you know, every second I get, I'm just gonna talk about how grateful I am.
But you know what? You also did that when you were doing the show. I will never forget it. Like all the time, you would just sort of like, you would just grab me in the hallway or in the theater, and you'd just be like, "Thank you, this is amazing." I will never forget that, because not every, you know, that's a real beautiful thing that was really just so George, and I really appreciated it.
Well, when you make your Broadway debut in Godspell, I think everyone thinks that you're like a crazy, goofy clown. And you know, with Tick Tick Boom, it was my first opportunity in New York to do a show where I could be funny and heartbreaking in the same, you know, in the same show. And so it was never lost on me during that process, and in the years since, how fortunate I was to get to flex both sides of my, you know, artistic musculature. And it wouldn't have been possible if you had cast somebody else in that part. So that's what I mean by it was a turning point. I got to do all the things that I wanted to do in a show, and I got to do it with such amazing, brilliant people supporting us as a cast. So, you know, to the day I die.
That's incredibly beautiful, and it's just beautiful. Thank you.
I mean it.
Well, conversations like this always remind me why we do what we do, and how incredibly grateful I am to get to even to be able to have this conversation, because I feel incredibly fortunate that we're able to sort of expand and do different things and be grateful to one another. And also, I think talking about representation, I think it's a really wonderful thing that we get to sort of lead that charge a bit, and that you're really living that and doing that. I think that Little Shop that you did was to see you on late night TV singing that song, you know, to actors who 10 years ago, no one would ever have thought to cast it that way.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And, you know, that whole process was just like one happy accident after the next, really. You know, it was like specifically with Suddenly Seymour, the Seymour track sits so low in my singing voice. And and MJ can do anything. So that was never an issue. But there was the conversation of like, our MD asked MJ, you feel comfortable doing this 8 times a week? She was like, yeah, I got this. And I was like, I don't. Can we make it more higher for me? And so we played with the keys a little bit. And what we ended up coming up with ended up being this like really, I've had a lot of trans friends ask me specifically about that key, ask me if it was intentional because MJ's voice, so MJ sang the original keys for everything up until Suddenly Seymour. And in that moment, there are lyrics like, please understand, it's still strange and frightening, the girl that's inside me. I mean, there's just, there were just so many lyrics that just kind of, it was like, why wasn't Audrey played by a trans actress since the beginning? And the song sat in a place in MJ's voice that was different from the way that she sang everything else. And so really came across as this moment of like vulnerability for Audrey, where, Audrey can sing about her dream of being somewhere that's green, and this really like, dreamy idealist kind of image of the perfect life, right? This housewife life that she had been, wanting for herself. And then suddenly in this moment, there's a man who who accepts her and wants to treat her the way she should be treated, and loves her. And when you're someone, I can relate to this to a certain extent, but when you're someone who kind of is always kind of taken advantage of or treated poorly, when you meet someone who is like good to you, you don't know what the fuck to do with that. Like you are just like, thank you, I gotta go. And so that, I felt like we really were able to capture what that vulnerability felt like for her in that moment. And then I got to sit somewhere comfortable in my range. And then what ended up happening on stage was just like, I mean, it was gorgeous. Sometimes I'd be so wrapped up in MJ in the moment, we'd both be that like our like post-show kiss would just like linger for a little too long. There was one time where I picked her up to take her out for dinner, and I dropped her back off at her place, and like I walked out and I opened the door for her, and she goes, "You better watch out, George. You might become my boyfriend." But yeah, no, I mean that whole experience was the best. It was amazing to again, I've been fortunate to be in casts that are, kind of rethink the formula. I mean, Tick Tick Boom at Keene did that, it's a really cool, exciting thing to be a part of. And Full Stop was just another one of those instances that was just like, oh my God, can I just live in can I Groundhog Day this run?
Over and over again.
Amazing. Hey, so we have about a couple minutes left with George. I wonder if we should be dipping into our question bowl.
Do we have any questions from anyone in the audience that had any questions? I know Billy was.
Yeah, let's see.
Yes, the chat is a nightmare right now.
It's popping. It's a party. Here's a question from
already at a moment's notice.
Here's a question from Ella Compton. Says, "Hi George, you're literally my role model, and your music has helped me more than you can imagine. But what advice do you have for young performers?"
My advice to young performers, but also just performers in general, is first to figure out how to like really love and accept yourself, because I know that like going through school, through musical theater training, there's such a pressure to fit a mold, and it's always professors who were in New York in 1975, and so they like move away from the city, teach, and they teach what New York was like in 1975. And so I always tell specifically young people to learn how to love and accept who you are, and own who you are, and own the things that make you different. They're the things that set you apart from everyone else. And that individuality will help in amazing ways. I mean, it's self-acceptance and self-love is a lifelong journey. It's like by no means something you can figure out in a 6-month period. But little by little, it gets a little easier. And I mean, I think I came into that audition for Tick, Tick, Boom, really comfortable in my skin and owning who George is. I'm George Salazar going into audition for Michael. No one else is going to audition the way I'm auditioning. And so I shouldn't try to make my audition feel like Jerry Dixon's, audition back in 2000. It's going to be my own interpretation. And if the shoe fits, great. And if it doesn't, someone else's family will be very proud of their kid, Yeah. And so there's so just owning your individuality, and then also being the same person online as you are in person is like really important. Just like authenticity is just so important. I mean, that's how Ellen got into the whole scandal that she was in this summer, right? It's like you can't project one version of yourself here and then behind closed doors be someone different. It just doesn't. That'll catch up to you eventually. And always just be nice. It's easy. It's easier to be nice than it is to be difficult.
That is beautifully said. And I will definitely say that as a director, what you said about being yourself and being unique. I have a little thing on my office filing cabinet that I said to some students, and they wrote it back to me. Just be yourself. Be yourself.
That's it.
That's all you need to do.
And, in order to do that, you have to be able to trust that you are like enough, and that you are like you being yourself is going to be more than enough. But, that takes time, and it takes sometimes, for me, it took moving to New York and surrounding myself, going through the years and meeting people and then being like, this person isn't really helping me grow. And finding your chosen family is oftentimes the way to do that, and surrounding yourself with people who build you up and make you feel good. That's a really helpful part of that process.
Awesome. What else we got, Billy? What other burning questions do people want to know?
I think we can dip into the question bowl.
Okay. Question bowl.
Let's do it.
Don't worry. This isn't a green mixing bowl I just found in my house during quarantine. This is a patented.
Yeah, it's a patented QVC cane bowl.
Yep. Okay. Tell me when, and I'm going to pick a random question for you. George, whenever you're ready. Okay. All right, this little get to know you question. Would you rather live in the mountains, on the beach, in the desert, or in a city?
The mountains.
City.
Ooh, hey.
I want to live in the mountains.
Is there one bucket list item that you're excited to do, like next? Or what's your burning bucket list item? Tough. Maybe it's okay to say I don't have one.
No, I do. I think my bucket list thing is to travel alone, to do like a solo backpacking thing. I was always really jealous of my college friends who did that post-college before moving to New York. That's a bucket list thing that I would really love to do.
I have a fan question if we want to move to that too. So Alex Martinez asks, George, if you had a movie based in your life, who would you choose to play you?
Great question.
My answer to that, very easy. Me.
Correct.
I'm available. I'm available to play me. I'm really excited for the deathbed scene.
Well, George, just go in the audition like as yourself. Just you're enough.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
One
more burning question. Do you prefer comedies or dramas?
Dramas.
Great send-off. Love that.
Contrary to popular belief.
I would like to ask the question that was our practice question, which is, which Golden Girl are you, George?
Sophia.
Sophia.
Yeah. I think Sophia.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have
Sophia.
one more.
Sophia because practically very old. I actually really loved staying at home throughout this whole thing, but played by a younger actress.
Sure. Right.
Great.
Right.
Great.
So the gravitas of someone older, but keep this brightness.
The youthful energy and the plastic surgery that makes you look young.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I guess we're towards the end of our hour. It went by so quick.
It did go by quick. I'm sorry. My answers to really simple questions can be very long.
No, that's good. We just want to chat, you know?
We loved it.
Johnny, do you have any burning questions?
I have so many, but I think they're going to have to take place offline, George.
Oh my. After hours.
After hours.
George, it was amazing to see you. You just brightened my day incredibly, and I have a feeling you did so to our fans watching too. So thank you. Selfishly, I just want to thank you. It was just.
I mean, this brightened my day as well. So the feeling's totally mutual. I love you guys so much, and I'm so happy we got to spend some time here with a bunch of people watching.
Well, let us know when you can take 3 months off from LA and want to come back and do Bat Boy.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Now? I'll get in the car. I'll be there in a week.
Excellent.
Can we bore you back with a dramedy where you play Sophia from the Golden Girls?
Yes, please.
Put all the things together. Great.
Unauthorized. Perfect.
Yeah, it's unauthorized.
Yeah, Billy, write it.
Done. It's already done.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, George, and stay in touch and be well out there.
Absolutely. I love you guys. Thank you so much
for
having me.
So much.
Have a great week.
Thank you.
Okay, bye, guys.
Bye. Wow. Oh, my God. I cried twice.
Did you really? It's hard to tell when we aren't in person. Oh, that's the mark of a good, keen conversation when Jonathan Silverstein cries.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And we're anticipating several more great after hours conversations in the coming weeks.
Who's up next?
Next week, we have Brenda Presley from Surely Goodness and Mercy. I'm excited because I didn't direct that play. So now we can find all the dirt on what happened in the rehearsal room.
Good. Yeah. Really dig in.
That's the after hours way.
So that's going to be exciting. And then we have Kate Baldwin from John and Jen. And then after that, we're going to have our sort of season launch in which we're going to welcome in all the playwrights who we have commissioned for our audio theater season.
Awesome.
That is going to be exciting.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us a little bit more about the audio theater season before we say goodbye to these folks, Johnny?
Well, why not? Wow, you could go online and see me talk about this a lot because there's now videos, there's teasers, there's all sorts of things. But Keen Company has been trying to figure out the best way to keep on producing during this pandemic. And inspired by old time radio, we are going virtual all this season with original pieces of audio theater. And we have an amazing lineup of playwrights: Pearl Clegg, Kate Cortese, Kenny Finkel, otherwise known as Finkel, James Anthony Tyler, and also Melissa Lee and Kit Yan, who will be writing a musical. So we are deep into the writers are very busy writing, and actually one of them is being recorded, and in fact we'll be doing some recording tomorrow morning. Of Finkel's project. It's called 1993.
How exciting. All that information is on our website, www.keencompany.org.
And make sure you follow us on all of our social media platforms at Keen Company.
Now, do we have an at Keen Company at TikTok yet, or is that sort of it?
We're working on it, Johnny. We're working on it. Jack Cummings is
he's our
dramaturg.
Well,
folks,
it's lovely to see everyone. I'm excited to do this once a week and get to check in.
Yes, we'll see you all next week. And thank you all for tuning in to our first week of Keen After Hours.
Pleasure seeing you all. And thanks for your good questions too.
Yes.
Bye.
So long, everybody. Bye.
Bye.